In our last video, we were celebrating Canada Day, and today we are able to celebrate Independence Day for all of my American friends. I find it interesting that our two videos are being published back to back. For me, it symbolizes just how close our two countries really are. Today's message builds on that theme. It's from a political leader who still invokes incredibly powerful emotional responses even to this day. The message itself is longer and it's more formal, certainly more formal than Friday's message. And for that reason, it's a challenge to solve. If you're interested in seeing who the political leader I'm talking about is and the message that they have about the special connection between Canada and the United States, stay with me. It's going to be an interesting one to solve, and we're going to have to be patient as we work through this one. Since there are no single letter words in this puzzle, I had to start somewhere else. And I started by looking at those 3-letter words to see if I can see a pattern that I'm familiar with, like the word the or the word and. I wasn't really seeing that. There were no good matches to fit either of those two patterns. I remembered the letter Q was the most commonly used letter in the puzzle, and it so happens the letter E is the most commonly used letter in English, so I just decided to put those together and see what would happen. So I put in the letter E in place of Q. There was no real way of knowing at this point whether or not that was a good fit or not. I knew I was already overthinking this problem, and I needed to do something to push ahead in this puzzle. So I started to look for another letter. My target was the letter J. There are a lot of hints about the letter J that can kind of help us figure out what that letter might be. The first one is the number of times it appears on the board. It's a very, very common letter, and in addition to that, we can see that it not only starts 2-letter words in this puzzle, but there's also some 2-letter words that end with the letter J as well. And there's not all that many cases where you have a letter that can do that. In addition, we have the letter J appearing next to each other, like a double J, in this puzzle too. So not only does this letter need to be frequently used and be able to start and finish 2-letter words, it also has to be able to double up next to itself. And there's one other clue. There is a lot of words in this puzzle that seem to end in that letter J as well. So when we take all these clues together, in my mind, the best letter that meets all of these criteria is the letter S. So I'm going to put the letter S in place of J. After filling in S in the place of J, it kicked off a bit of a mini cascade. A bunch of these smaller words started to kind of fill themselves in, like is and so and has. But that cascade didn't last very long. I had to struggle through many other words here. You'll see me making guesses and later having to change my answers as I started to fill in more and more of the puzzle. So I think this is by far the most challenging cryptogram that we've solved yet in the series so far. I'd appreciate it if you could let me know in the comments what you felt about it, if it was too easy or too difficult or maybe not difficult enough. I do believe there is a special relationship between Canada and the United States, and it's nice that we can share a continent together. This particular quotation came from John F. Kennedy's visit to Ottawa, and this was part of his address to Parliament. I hope you have a great Independence Day, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow where we have another amazing cryptogram to solve.